So when I came to this beautiful university building this morning, it remembered me of my own time as a student. And I remembered one situation that probably brought me to the stage, and that's why I wanted to share this. So I nearly failed my final course in human resources. And so it was the last year, and our professor gave us a huge research project about the Japanese employment market. And so the worst thing was not the topic, but it was the team. So it was a group work, and usually, the professor just gave us the work, and we could find ourselves, we could just work with the people we like. This time he said, no, the three of you, you'll work together. And it was awful. So I literally hated everyone in my team. And you can imagine how all this worked out. So it was an awful experience. But this really burned into my head. And I think it led me to this day that I said, okay, how can we really bring teams together? And if we really want to build teams that work well, that perform good, and that are happy, we have to give these teams a voice in the recruitment process. We have to make them part of the whole process. We should enable them to find themselves. And one way how they can find themselves is to make them influencers in the whole recruiting process. So now, influencers we usually know from marketing. In marketing, so social media is a thing now, so companies decided we have to do marketing on social media. And after a while they realized, okay, people don't get up in the morning to log into Facebook to follow a brand. People go on social media to follow people, and that's why companies started to use people who are in certain communities, who are admired, to use them to voice as a voice in the social networks. So that's how these influencers in marketing got created. And I brought two species here. On the left side we have Huda Katan. She's one of the most influential fashion bloggers with over 30 million followers on Instagram. And if, let's say you're producing lipsticks and you want Huda to post one picture on Instagram with your lipstick, you'll pay $18,000 for this one picture. Another species of this is PewDiePie. He has over 50 million followers on YouTube, and he started earning $7 million a year in 2014 just because he had such a big audience that was trusting him. But the normal influencers that we have are not these superstar influencers. These are the micro-influencers, just people who are active in their communities, who are trusted. And the question today is how we can use this. And there's one interesting statistic here from Twitter, because Twitter tried to find out, okay, how can we influence your buying decision? So if, let's say, I'm producing sport shoes and I'm posting something on Twitter, so this is our new sport shoe, and you'll see this. This will increase your likelihood to buy this shoe by 2.7. But now if someone posts this job like an influencer, someone I trust, a real person, this will increase your likelihood to buy this shoe by a factor of 5.2. So it's a much higher likelihood, and an influencer has a much higher impact on his network than a company can ever have. So the question is, how can we use this power for recruiting? And when we look back in time, actually Caesar invented the first employee referral program. So he made his soldiers influencers on the employment market, and he paid them 30% additional salary if they bring a new strong soldier to the Roman army. And he had a lot of good reasons for this back then, and all these reasons are still true today. So receiving referrals from your network is extremely effective, and you'll save a lot of costs if you're not dependent on job ads and headhunters anymore, but if you use your own resource network. It can be very fast if not just one recruiter is searching for a new candidate, but maybe 500 to 1,000 people are going into their networks. And candidates coming from a referral are extremely suitable. They are very likely to match your culture. They are very likely to really fit into the team. And this is where we are now leaning towards this influencer recruiting. It's a very authentic way to present your brand. If you manage that a lot of your employees are sharing your jobs on social networks, that's the best and most trusted employer brand that you can get. And last but not least, what we see is people coming through a referral are more likely to stay. So it's a much more sustainable recruiting process because you really find the people that fit into this company. However, as we see in real life, a lot of referral programs fail and never really reach this full potential. Another little story from my past, I started my career actually here in Budapest in executive search for lawyers. Yeah, I know, lawyers. And after a while, a law firm hired me, said, we don't want to pay this executive search fees anymore. You'll do it, you're heading our recruitment department, and we want to save fees. So one of the first things we did, we implemented a referral program. So, okay, lawyers all know each other. We paid 2,000 euros in reward, and we just leaned back and waited for the referrals to fly in. And half a year later, our referral program was dead. So we didn't receive any more referrals. And we really went deep into the whole program and tried to understand why. Why do so many referral programs fail and lose traction after a while? And it's usually these 5 success factors that we keep on seeing. That's why referral programs really fail. One is communication. So we didn't really actively communicate our jobs to our employees. We had our internal job board. We thought they all know what we are looking for. They didn't. And if I don't actively go to all my employees and say, this is what we are looking for, do you know someone? They will not make referrals for this job. Another very important part is transparency. So if one of your employees makes a referral, they are sitting there and they're waiting to hear back because they're very eager to understand, is that a good referral? Will this person go on in the recruitment process? And if they don't hear back from you, if they don't receive any feedback, this is the #1 reason why employees will stop making referrals, because they just say, okay, it's a black hole, no one cares about my referrals anyway. So you have to give feedback. Another important thing, again, back in our law firm, so people just applied through our website. We hired them, and then 3 months later, an employee came and said, by the way, I referred this guy. Where's my reward? And we had no way to track this back. We had no way to really track who of my employees are really ambassadors on the job market, who's really responsible for bringing us candidates. Another thing, Gabor already mentioned, the whole data privacy. A referral means that someone is giving me the data of a third person. They are sending me a CV and so on. And this has become very complicated under GDPR. And last but not least, and this is really the core part about referrals, it's all about appreciation. Short example, let's assume we are 100 employees and we hire 10 new per year. And 5 of them are coming through referrals. So we already have an extremely good referral program. So when you start a referral program, a lot of your employees will be active. They will share jobs on their social networks without you knowing. They will bring good candidates to the interview table. But if none of them get ever hired, they never receive a thank you. They never receive an appreciation. If you're doing something for 1 year without ever receiving a thank you, you will stop doing it. And this is the reason why more and more employees will become deactive in your referral program, because they never received a thank you. They never have this achievement of hiring someone. So this is really something where you have to steer against. And this is one thing I would like to show you today. How can you solve this problem? How can you really design a rewarding process, and how can you turn your referrers really to influencers on the job market? And when we look at this, we have to look at the activity. So what can an employee do in a referral program? So first of all, they can be active. So there are activities that they can share jobs on their social networks, on WhatsApp, in forums, or they can make direct referrals. This is what they can do. This is what they can influence. Then there are the first short-term results. So a friend of them clicks on the job they shared on Facebook, or a friend of them applies, or a friend of them gets invited to an interview. That's the first result, but no, they cannot really influence this. And last but not least, we have this long-term result. So this candidate gets hired, or he survives the probation period. And what we usually see is that companies reward the very top. So reward if the candidate survives the probation period. But if we look at like the motivational psychology, we see if we reward people for something they can influence, they will do more about it. So if you start rewarding for activity, it's very likely that the employees will make more about this. And I brought some examples how other companies are doing this. So first of all, basis you have to measure all of this, but when you measure this, you can really measure who are your ambassadors, who are your multiplicators, independent if someone gets hired or not. And just 4 examples I very like, one is from PwC. They said, okay, we still have this monetary reward at the very end, but we want to show appreciation, so they measured who were the most active employees in the quarter, and then the CEO just called them and said, thank you. Costs, 0. Another thing I like, Engelbert Strauss, they made a breakfast challenge. So they as well, they measured who are our most active talent scouts in the quarter, and then they served a breakfast for them at their workplace. And what that led to is that it had a multiplication effect, because all the colleagues saw the breakfast and they go, why are you receiving a breakfast? So you have an internal multiplication process. Another nice idea was from Capgemini. They said, okay, let's not reward single people, but let's reward teams. So they measured who are the most active teams, and on the Christmas party, the 3 most active teams received a reward. I think they could throw a little party for themselves. And what that led to is that was a mind change, because suddenly the teams realized, hey, maybe it's a little bit our responsibility to look for our next colleague. And the best thing that can happen to you in recruiting is if the team is sitting together on Monday morning and ask, okay, have you already looked for someone in your networks? Have you already made a referral? Because we want to find our colleague, maybe ourselves. And then last but not least, Swedish company Trelleborg, they had a 1,000 shares challenge. They just want to say, we want to get our employer brand out there through the most trusted source, our own employees. And they said, if we as a company reach 1,000 shares, we'll have an ice truck come to the company and everyone receives an ice. It was summer back then. So that's just as an inspiration what other companies do, just to show their employees, okay, we care about what you do, not just if someone gets hired, but if you're a constant influencer for us on the market, that helps. And of course, there's effort behind this, and if there's effort, there's always the question, what's in it for us? And I brought two different success stories here. One is from Magyar Telekom, who started working with us, I think, around half a year ago. And they managed to activate around 3,000 of their employees to become talent scouts, as we call them. That's our influencers. And these 3,000 employees shared nearly 8,000 times jobs on their social networks, and that's already a massive employer brand. You know, you get into all these communities where you probably don't have any access to some WhatsApp groups where you'll never ever post a job into. They generate around 800 applications or referrals through this network, and up to now they hired around 80 of them, so they're approaching 100 hires after half a year. So this has been an extreme support for them in the whole recruiting process, but as well in the employer branding process. And another last example is from big bus tours. I think you all know these sightseeing buses in every capital, including Budapest. And they have a very specific job profile, because they are looking for people who sell tickets on the street to tourists. And they had really problems finding these people, because they just went through job ads, and they said, okay, we just receive applications from people who don't really like to work for us. They are unemployed, they are sending their application number 190 to us, and we don't really find people who have the spirit to really do this. And then they included their network, and they really activated all their employees. Okay, now you have to help us, and please, you help us to find people who really fit to our culture. And this is really something that turned the whole company around a little bit, because now they are finding people who really fit to the job and who really fit into the teams. And what they said is extremely interesting, because some people they found they never had big bus on their radar. They never even knew that they were suited for the job, but just because someone approached them from their friends said, hey, by the way, you have the mindset that really fits to this team, just give it a try, and all the rest will train you. So you find a different kind of people, and this is I think what like the bridge to my first thing in university, that we can really build people who perform better and who can really help us to solve all the challenges that are ahead of us. So as a final statement, give your employees a voice in the whole recruitment process. It will really pay off for you. Thank you very much. Thanks.